Hello and welcome to your favorite stock podcast. It's the Stock Hypers. We're back. It's January. No, it's not. It's February. It's February 2025. You guys know what date it is? We've been gone for a little while. We'll explain that later. Danny, how are you doing today and how are your stocks?
Good morning, Brian. It is February 13th. For some clarity, and my stocks are having one of the best days ever. I am up 5.58% as we speak,
Wow.
11:28 Pacific time on the golden day, Brian.
Money is crushing it. Why
It's
is
been a
that?
great year, great 3 months.
Yeah.
I just checked from my October 23 lows. I'm up about 230%. Well, I
Whoa.
doubled, whatever they call that,
That's
130%.
back.
Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
That's
so
insane.
all-time high right now. It's been great. Fantastic. How are yours doing today, Brian?
I'm up today as well, but I I had the worst trade I've had in so long. Like I really screwed it up. I'll tell the audience what happened, because I'm going to blame it on you since you're sitting here. So
Since I was on
yesterday,
the other side of that trade.
yesterday I'm
Okay.
talking to Danny on the phone, and I'm cruising down the road, and we're talking about Robinhood because they had their earnings last night after the close, and I said, it'd be interesting because they they are either gonna blow out the doors or they're gonna flop. And they've already run up like 40% this year or 70% this year, whatever the crazy number of Robinhood doing great. And I'm like, look at this, you can buy a put for Friday and it's super cheap. And if they miss, then the volatility is going to be so good that that'll just print money. And you said, well, if they hit, then you're going to lose all your money. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to pick one way or the other for this. And so I unfortunately grabbed the put, a
Wow.
53 put. So Robinhood would have to cruise down below or around $53 for that to work for me. And of course, what did they do today, Danny?
It did the opposite, Brian. My concern on that was there was so much crypto trading the last quarter. And to put it in perspective, year to date, which is 6 weeks, they're up 63%. The past year, they're up 443%. They have climbed to one of my biggest holdings. They already were probably a mid holding, but they've climbed so much in value. They're just cleaning up right now in the crypto trades. They mentioned they're getting in the prediction market, which will be coming. I just think they're doing all the right moves. You look forward. Plus, you got a haircut. I think that was a magic
Oh yeah,
elixir on that one. The
Vlad got a little buzz
Vlad.
cut. He looks very professional,
I
very
think they're
handsome,
all
that
they're
guy.
all time high. They're just killing it for good reason. They're going where these people should be going. Good for them and good
Robinhood
for me.
Markets up 12% today, 63 bucks. I have no chance of recovering on this
Wow.
put, and I lost all. I mean, it's just
Year
done.
year to date, 63%, Brian. How many billions is that? It's
Well, I
like
thought,
20 billion or something. That's $20 billion in value in 6 weeks.
oh, that's
Crazy.
amazing. Market cap $55 billion.
Wow.
Amazing.
Incredible. Bright future as well. I had bought and sold that when it came out, and I took the house money, went with that, bought some, went down, I held it out, now it's back up.
That was
So
a
that's
good
been
hold. I got
fantastic.
out as soon as I was positive on that thing after waiting probably a year and a half or so. So I
I'm
have not
doubled
been
my
in
money now.
Robinhood, and now I've got egg on my face for betting against them. Danny, another stock, another D money stock
Let's
is
keep that egg on
crushing
your
it. Yeah,
face, baby. That's
it's
right.
crushing it. I'm gonna pull this up and share the screen.
Well, I'll just share right now. So of course we bought Dutch Brothers, which I've been a big fan on
Hmm.
from Southern Oregon, of course. I have now about tripled my money on that. They're up 25% today. They've just been crushing it year to date.
$81 is a share is this
Anyone
week.
to share?
Holy
They're killing
mackerel.
it. So for
Market
good
cap 12 billion.
reason, I had really liked them because when they open a store, anyone who's been there knows it just gets jam-packed, so line out the door constantly. What I really liked them is a while ago, they switched CEOs from the founder to a professional one. It's kind of like it's equivalent of a band selling out, which means they were done being the folksy whatever type of deal. They're going full corporate, and it's really paid off. So last year they've doubled,
When
tripled,
they went
excuse me.
public, they really had a problem with their messaging as far as like how to talk to Wall Street when they had the earnings calls to make Wall Street believe in their vision. And they
Right.
struggled the first couple quarters because of that. And so that was a great move to bring in a seasoned
Right.
publicly traded company
Ryan, they're at their all-time highs. When they first came out, they shot up. They went from 32 to 76, late October 21 during the peak.
Hmm.
They bottomed out, I believe it was in, let me see here, in September 23, like a lot of people, 23. Now it's at 80. So I'm up almost 4x since then.
Okay. Wow.
So but I mean, really, Brian, if you look at the numbers, okay, let's put perspective in October. Okay, let's say November 1st of 24. So that's 3.5 months ago. They're at 33. Now they're at 80.
Wow.
So it's been quite the run, baby. And they
Good
are
job,
now my
Danny.
biggest stock. I think them and Duolingo, which is another one I have
Hmm.
long championed for, and I've ridden the train up.
Nice.
Those guys are having a good day on a non-earnings day. Just another fantastic comeback. So all of these companies I had championed, I held out. I wish I'd have bought more during the lulls. And does well. Just real quick, Duolingo in August was at 162. Now it's at 421.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's always easier when the market goes up. We're
Yeah.
geniuses when it goes up. And I get tending a little bit boost because I take more of the smaller mid cap, little higher risk than the Magnificent Seven. So I'll be cleaning up, Brian, if you want me.
I guess so. Wow, Danny, you're just doing great.
Been fantastic. Hey, what are you up? What are you at year to date overall? I'll give you mine while you're looking.
Year to
I'm up
date?
17% year to date. So shit is a correction coming, not to be Danny Downer.
Wow. My
Damn.
year to date is not even anywhere close to that. I'm only up 7 year to date in the trading account. And then I'll give you my IRA just because
Yeah, that's gotta be
that's more of my IRA is more of a D money play.
right. It's like a D Money Junior kind of. Well, we'll see if it's junior or not before I run my mouth. Let me do. So last year I'm up 57% for the last 12 months.
Yeah, I'm up 37.88. So I'll call it 38. 38% up in the
Is
Roth
that for
IRA,
the last?
which is
Is
like the
that the
buy and
last?
hold account.
Is okay? Is that the last 12 months?
Mhm.
38%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you have year to date for that? Just out of curiosity.
That one year to date has done nothing, to be honest. Year to date on that one is up a point. And I believe that because what's in that account, I'll tell you what's in the account. Meta, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Apple. And I just added Lucid today, so that doesn't really count. But so like that portfolio is basically Magnificent Seven minus
And been lucid.
well,
Although Magnificent Seven's gone up really this year, a whole lot has been meta, which is kind of to be
yeah.
expected. It's only 6 weeks. Oh,
In fact,
Lucid's up
like Goose
15% today. Nice.
yeah, Gooseid. I don't know who Gooseid
I'm
is.
up on that.
But Alphabet is down, 3% year to
Yeah.
date. There's a few of them that haven't done well. Like you said, Meta is just on a tear, and so that's a great stock. Microsoft's kind of been dead money. Amazon's done well. Apple's is Apple up year to date? No, Apple's down 3%.
No, they're all not doing much.
Yeah, so that one not so great in the last, what is that, a month and a half. So I'm not going to worry about it. I did add Lucid today because I usually have about anywhere between 5 and 10% of that portfolio as more risky stuff that I'll put in there.
Why
And
why did you pick Lucid? I did. I had sold out. I bought back in. Now I'm up. I'm happy because it's a high risk. It could have a run, much like Carvana, not that much, but that was kind of the play. What made you do Lucid, Brian?
I had Tesla in there as kind of like that risky trade. And so that one I had sold out. Maybe the money had been sitting there for a week or two or three or whatever it was. And Lucid is just on my radar. You and I have talked about it several times.
Hmm.
I think when it gets down to three or under three, it becomes like an interesting trading vehicle. And I've been watching it more closely because they have the SUV coming out, which I think is a beautiful car.
Hmm.
I don't
Great
know,
product.
I still think that it has a long way to go to be making money. But, with the Saudi fund that is,
Endless.
financing this and that the high end market I think is ripe for EVs besides
Hmm.
Tesla. So high end minus Tesla, I think it's there. I think BMW's been doing good with their high end EVs, and I think Lucid is in that category as well.
Well, mine was just basically, I think there's Tesla.
Hmm.
And I think Lucid will survive. It's
Hmm.
just that's I think, right? I didn't put a lot of money into it. And I think they're so beaten down. And right now with Trump coming in, ERs are horrible, they're garbage. Well, they're gonna eventually be there, right?
Yeah,
So it kind of got untrendy. It's kind of like a bubble burst and they're
yeah.
low. So I'm hoping, well, they do make sense. It is a nice car. This is a future to survive. It's cheap. That's why I got it. It's under $1,000, so it's not like the end of the world. But I'm up. I got 310. It's at 328 now. So this is something I'm just gonna hold on to, Brian, and hope it's like a next Carvana type of deal, or at least can double because the cap is relatively small for these. It's 10 billion,
Hmm.
but in this business, that's relatively small.
Yeah.
Now, let me give you one that I didn't go over that I kicked myself for.
All right.
I've loved companies. I love advertising on internet as a model. Meta, right?
Hmm.
Amazon, Google, the obvious examples, right? You see Apple getting in there, right? So they all have their niche. Amazon, if you're shopping on Amazon, they own it, right?
Yeah.
Google makes sense. Meta makes sense, right? Those are the main ones. But for apps, there's App Lovin', which I always hated the name.
Oh, I'm with you on
Yeah,
this
right.
one. Oh my gosh.
So App Lovin', I knew that, and their model was basically we'll facilitate ads on apps, right?
Hmm.
Which is an open market. I'm dumb, right? And
Yeah.
I never got it. And then it's like kept going up. It's too much, and I just messed up on that one. So the last year, it's up a paltry 920%.
Yeah. I'm
So
big
it is
on FOMO.
crazy.
I will fall for FOMO quite often, but for this one, I just continue
No.
to go, really? Is it
I know,
still
messed
straight
up.
up?
I should have
And it
got it.
still
And
is
I've
so
done
far.
that.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I kick myself in a small part, but it made sense. So they will look to be the predominant people. If you want to advertise on an app, where else would you go? I
I
mean, really,
guess. I
that's why
guess
I
they don't
like,
own that market.
let me take you to similar web, Brian, if I could.
Mm.
Now, I like them because they're a small cap, a billion, well run.
Mhm.
We had talked about them, I believe, before, but I bought them into them. They were doing great, and they just had just a terrible fucking week, dude. Damn.
Bad earning
So I
report.
bought more a couple days ago. It dropped 10% today, and I just bought more again.
Oh, so you're
So I'm still up, no problem.
okay.
But I like these guys.
You're averaging
They have
lower,
real
are you?
solid, they have solid numbers, solid growth,
Hmm.
get in the right direction, well run. Their cap is now under a billion. These are the guys, these are analytics. If you're looking, in this case, it's ratings for websites, is how much are other sites getting, right? They give you some free stuff. A lot of it's going to be enterprise, so you can check out your competitors. So it makes sense. It's well run, good growth, semi-spectacular growth, right? But
Yeah.
not like a high risk. I don't see them going anywhere. Decent balance sheet, kind of a safer long-term play. But I guess I think in the long term, this correction could be well because I basically tripled my holdings on this. I've had it for over a year.
Oh wow.
Last February, I got it. So they just got fuck this damn. Start of the week, they're at 1678. Now they're at 1068. So they've lost about a third. They've lost 37% this week, but allowed me to buy more. I might even buy more again, dude. I still think it's great long term. A lot of vol. It's been
Volatility?
very volatile. Let's put it that way, to say the least.
Okay.
So we'll see. I still bet in long term on them. What I didn't do on App Lovin,
Well, I
doing
hope
for
to
these
do okay
guys.
on that
But
one. I
if
I usually don't play this one, but I do see your appeal to it.
Mhm. So, and again, I'm still up. So I got lucky to buy near the bottom. I did that well.
Very
But hey, so let's get a few stocks here, Brian, that we have never talked about before, and you have played on them, and I finally got into them. These are smaller stocks. The basic thesis is these are small ones, could have a potential huge upside, I guess, like most of them. One of them, the ones I have, is called Airship, which is the ticker is AISP. These guys do software for surveillance cameras, primarily big companies. I've been following them for a while. It makes sense. There's just going to be more and more cameras out there, and as they do the software, not necessarily the hardware to it, so they're more of an infrastructure play.
Mhm.
I'm up 22%, a small cap one.
Oh wow. Are you
So
when
I've
did
done
you
that
buy
one,
this
which I got
again?
into. Why don't you tell us about the IREN one? IREN is a ticker on that, Brian. We both hit. I'm up 26% on that little rascal. So
Yeah.
so far they're good, but they're very volatile. So what is IREN exactly, Brian?
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, Brian. Did you sell that?
No, what I did was I bought 100 shares of it and then I sold calls on it. And
Okay, so this is
yeah.
basically it's small basic power stations. The idea behind it was initially power for data centers,
Hmm.
which could be AI, but what it's doing is mostly for crypto people. So it's one of those things like, crypto itself was supposed to replace PayPal, but as it turns out, it's going to replace gold and currency, right? So you
Right.
cut not a U-turn, but there's just been it started off one thing and kind of went to another. So IREM is a power play just to make it think. They do.
It's like big data center.
Renewable energy, basically, which is big. Australia and North America right now, I believe that's it. They're from Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Their cap's 2.5 billion.
I believe
That's
what
the
they're trying to do
basic
is
plan.
sell them to lease, or sell or lease these things to other companies, and they're just
Right.
because it takes so long to get the funding, the permitting, and to build these, that they're going to build a portfolio that they could. It's basically like they're almost like a home builder, but for data
Right.
centers. And so,
That's a great way to put it. That basically makes sense to me. Does it to you? That
yeah,
makes total sense.
definitely.
Great thing in the market, a niche. The one I messed up on another one was the Sam Altman one, the Okla, where he is they're
That
going to
was
build power
nuclear,
plants in
right?
800 years or something. Oklo.
Is that
Well,
the
it's kind
nuclear
of
powered
risky.
one?
Oops. So
Yeah,
let's year to date, these guys are up 150%.
awesome.
150%. Since they went public, they're up 400%. Came out at, they're a SPAC, Sam Altman SPAC, they make a nuclear fission reaction, whatever that means. I wisely decided not to buy it. Now it's went up 5 times. Oops. So,
That and App Lovin, Wallace.
damn. The ones that get away, I think, burn you more than the ones you collect on, don't they?
Sometimes, like those stick out in your head more than the winning.
Oh, they stick out. They burn me. It's like sleeping on a hot coal at night, Brian.
Yeah,
That's not
sorry.
good.
Sorry. I have a few of those as well. So,
Yes.
Danny, what have you been up to besides stocks? Like, what's going on in your life? Uh,
Well,
you've got some transitions that have been happening.
we did have a trip. I had my son had went away to college,
The
right?
tech guy.
Yeah, we'll just say an Ivy League college. We don't dox my son and have him, come after my freeze all my tech up. So he lucked at Ivy League college,
Nice. Congrats.
passed on UCLA and Berkeley. Ah, it's in
Yeah.
the genes, baby. Got
Nice.
all the UCs. I mean, he worked hard. He's in CS. He's going away. So it's giving me more free time to do it. As you know, I'm an importer of accessories.
Yeah.
But I have more time, and I'd looked into making a retail version of that. Long story short, it became too much of a challenge to get a viable location. Right.
Location, location, location in
Is
retail.
harder in retail, as you know, through the changes. Long story short, very difficult to get where you make some real money into it, right?
Yeah.
Not just buy yourself a job. So I had an idea to do a D2C company, which we'll get into in later podcasts. And I don't know if people know this, Brian, but you are the D2C master.
Well, I don't know about
So,
that, but I
well,
definitely have had a
your
lot of
track record
clients.
says otherwise.
I've got some,
You're not one to,
got some
a
home runs, and I've got some
lot of home runs. You had a
strikeouts.
grand slammer though, Brian. In any case, Brian is being very modest, which I don't have that gene, by the way. Here's what Irish don't have. They don't have an offended gene. You can't offend us,
Yeah,
and we
okay.
don't have a modesty gene, just so you know.
Okay. We'll
And
keep.
the Irish accent is a very real thing. We were doing that before his name, the Irish accent.
All right,
So
for
I
your
went to you
D2C
with
company, where are you at in this? So let's tell the audience
so
how new
right.
is.
I'm still copyrighting all the names and doing that. So it's just going to be a health food company, right?
Okay.
But we're going to start out selling nuts and seeds combined. So
All
it's very
right.
convenient and a nice packaging to
Mhm.
eat healthy, to eat snacks. So this is something, Brian, that I want to be stand behind 100%, right? Which I've always done in my business. You have as well, jokes aside. It's healthy, it's simple. There, I looked around that space, there's a lot of supplements and mixes and all that. We're just not doing that. We're just taking raw organic nuts and seeds basically and expand from there. What I'm doing now is I'm just getting the numbers of it, Brian. The packaging will be special.
Okay. Is this kind of
Brandy's a
like
big one.
obviously kind bars are a different type of
Right. Be
your
a similar customer, but we're going to go authentic. I've never been a big supplement or vitamin guy. I think it's best to eat it. I'm 6 years old. I'm in great shape. I want to keep it that way.
yeah.
Is just a natural stuff, right?
Okay.
And as you get older, one thing you guys are older, get ready. You'll be talking to your friends about what you eat to, live longer, to avoid the big Dr. Death coming to get you.
Oh,
But
great.
no, just eating healthy and snacking. It's
Yeah.
something when I would buy nuts and seed, I have to put them together. I said, it's one of those things that made sense. I looked into it. There's no one else doing it.
Yeah.
I think the prices work. The first person I ran it by, Brian, with you, because you have expertise doing that. And you're in a Shopify, Amazon. I don't know how much you want to say about the big, your big TV appearance. You ever want to get into that or not really?
I don't know. We've never talked about it. I
Can
was on
we?
Shark Tank.
Okay. No, no, you weren't on Shark Tank. You won Shark Tank.
I don't know about winning it.
Then,
We had a
because
deal on
Brian
Shark.
says, how about a fresh one? You went back and you got on again.
Yeah.
And then you got on, not Oprah, but what was the morning show? The View, right?
The View. Yeah.
Dominated that
Me
one.
and Whoopi.
Yeah. You and Whoopi were just kind of kicking it as the sales were racking up. So Brian has a lot of success doing that. He had partners, sold the company, did well, has other companies doing well. So you had experience, Brian, in D2C, right? Good
Yeah.
quality. And by the way, your stuff was great. inventive idea, which we should do a whole episode on, is how you came up with that. It's brilliant. So with companies, Bryan, now I think it's basically either one man or two man person, woman, they, whatever company, right? Or
Okay.
a big one. So I'm looking now for a smaller one, right? So that's kind of my idea of doing that. If it grows fine. I still have my other business, but I have time to do it. My kid's away. So I
Okay.
have time and I want to build something. So
So I remember when you were showing it to me, the form factor was what really sold me. Like the product inside is all in like nuts and seeds, all natural, not talking sweetened or
nothing.
any type of
Right.
processed stuff in it. So I thought that that was a really like you can go and buy that, but the form factor that you came up with, the branding that you had showed me, I thought that's really interesting, and I would be a consumer of it, even though it wasn't something from D Money. Even though you're doing it, if I saw it on a shelf or I saw it on a website, I'd be like, oh, that's compelling. I'll
So
take that.
Bryan, what your initial thing of why you liked it was a form factor, right?
I think so. The form
Okay.
factor was what really sold me because, you can buy nuts and seeds in all different types of packaging,
Mhm.
combine it together. I understand the combination factor that you're going to pick out to make the most nutritional sense
Right.
for people.
Right.
That's cool. You kind of leaving the thinking to somebody who's researched it rather than somebody else, just kind of relying on their own whims. And I like the combination, the different textures that were going into it. So the real golden part of it, I thought, was the form factor, the use case scenario of like, how you were going to get this in the hands of the consumer. I thought that was good. So I was,
Right. And in a
I,
short amount of time, we'll show this to people. It's all done once all the copyright of the names gets it all got. So
you got samples of packaging, right?
mhm. Right. Did a lot of samples. Is what I want to be is, it's all American made. The nuts, we're in San Diego, Bryan and I, but most of the nuts you eat and seeds are from California, which is massive. San Joaquin Valley is the biggest agricultural spot in the world. I think double the next biggest one. So it's massive. We're lucky there. So it's a matter of sourcing the quality stuff, which is a lot of, by the way. There's a lot of good companies out there now, you know. So my thing, Bryan, when I did it was I am in the business I'm very price sensitive business. I move a lot of merchandise because I'm cheaper than everybody else and I have good selection, right?
Yeah.
So I had to go, and Bryan is much more of an upscale market where it's more of a premium thing, which also sells. And again, I think either go premium or you go cheap. Your Walmart or Tiffany's, what everyone says now. The middle's kind of gone and has been. And I know enough to know that. So this is my big adjustment was like, well, Bryan, can this be as a premium blend? Will an affluent customer pay more for this? And that was kind of what you had suggested to me before I brought it up.
Right. You can be crushed on price by Blue Diamond Almonds or someplace like that because they have the scale and they're the
Right.
grower and they,
And they don't have the product that we do, by the way, just So
okay,
you have to differentiate. So one
but
of the things is
but
there
you don't
was
want to
a
compete with them on price. That'd make it very difficult. But if you can find your premium branding and packaging, and then the way that you mix it up, there things
right.
that set you apart. That's what you want to find.
Right. So that's a customer that way. So for me, that's my biggest adjustment right now. So right now I'm working on prices. It's interesting the stuff that I have to work on, shipping, the right size,
Yeah,
right? All these little type of things. It's actually fun building a brand up, but
yeah.
the core idea is still there. So
It's fun.
that is that
Business
is
is fun. It's like if you like puzzles, business
yeah,
is very exciting for you because it is all a big puzzle on how to make that thing fit.
isn't it?
Yeah,
So tell us, Bryan, what one briefly, let's go into what won you on Shark Tank. What was the product, which by the way, you sold that for seven figures, that company, is that correct?
that's correct. But it was a few years. It was during COVID. So we we went on Shark Tank in 2019, I believe. We filmed it in 2018. So Shark Tank, if you're a fan or you're not a fan, or if you watched it, they film probably a couple hundred entrepreneurs for each season, and then they whittle it down to let's see, it would be 60, I think, for the season. Maybe 20
60.
episodes, three each. And then, so all of those other people, they got to go in front of the sharks and film, and some of them even make a deal, but they don't air, which means if you don't air on Shark Tank, no matter if you made a deal with them on paper or not, it's probably going to be null and void because it is about getting that commercial of being on TV for those,
So the value prop is basically the exposure, which a lot of people will go for, right?
for
For
both
both
the
parties.
entrepreneur and for the sharks.
So a lot of people are invited down there. They go through it like you guys did, but it just doesn't air.
Yeah.
Okay, I see arbitrage. Could we buy the rights for the unaired Shark Tank and plop
Oh
those
my
out
goodness, that would
somewhere?
be
And that
really interesting, right?
it's already filmed.
Yeah.
Let me get my CS son to hack them. Let me call that Ivy League and make it worth this money. That's interesting. Well, that's
Danny,
a good.
no one's ever said that before, and I think that's a really great thought. Look at that.
That's what I'm here for, Brian.
Why,
That's why
and
I'm
now
here.
in a streaming world, why wouldn't they do that?
That is IP waiting. It's like Marvel not having X-Men and Fantastic Four fight each other.
Hmm.
It's the same thing. You have IP there waiting to ripe. Just
Yeah,
pick.
there's got to be some legal reasons why. There's got to be something because even like Hollywood films these pilots for the sitcoms
Right.
and the regular dramas or
That's
whatever.
another one. Never thought of that. Unaired
There's
pilot.
all of these fantastic pilots out there that just didn't get picked up, and they've either got the one episode or maybe they've shot two, three, four, six of those things, and they're just in the can and not doing anything. If they had a separate streaming network that you could watch those, that would be so interesting.
There was some that had a few of them, but not many. Or YouTube had a few of them, but not many. I remember some,
Oh,
but
really?
no, there's not. But it's basically I buy excess material too,
Yeah.
which has been my business for 20 years. It's a fantastic business, right? Like a Ross or Marshalls.
This is like a
Interesting. Okay, so you went on Shark Tank.
Yeah, so we went on Shark Tank. The product's called Radiate. It's a portable campfire that we came up with and brought it. First, we
Wait,
did.
wait, wait. Do a little bit more on the portable campfire, the form factor, the price, and kind of
Yes.
what it is, if you would, Brian.
So the portable campfire we came up with. First, we did a Kickstarter. It was like a Danish cookie sized tin. It held 4 pounds of wax in it, and we used in the beginning we just had like egg cartons that we had made the wicks out of. So you had like these really big kind of chunky wicks in just a giant
Why
wide
didn't
candle.
you just buy them at like Wix R Us or something, Brian? Was it
Well,
reusable or
because a wick doesn't make a big enough flame for it to light the whole surface of the wax afire. So the larger the wick, the more hot it would become. So that it could be so the entire surface of this, call it a giant candle, would become a flame, not just a wick. So we used egg cartons in the beginning.
okay,
We
interesting.
ended up getting like
And just for use case on this, Brian, the
yeah,
portable campfire, like besides the cookie tin, like you get in the
yeah,
gift time at Christmas,
yeah.
is you could go like in our case, go to the beach, do it, or go camping, or in your backyard. You don't want to deal with all the coals and all that
Mhm.
stuff, right? Which is a lot.
Yeah.
You light it up, it lasts 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that.
It depends on how big that thing was and a couple other factors of where you're doing it. Because if you are using it up in the mountains, it's going to last longer because there's not as much oxygen, so you don't get as hot of a
That's
fire.
interesting. Huh,
Yeah. And
good to
so
know.
we made this thing for those types of scenarios. And plus, it actually works really well, like in the woods, because there's no embers to fly out. That's very, very light on fire danger. Now you could knock it over or spill it over
Sure.
or
Well,
light
like
something on
anything,
fire being
sure.
stupid. But for the most part, no embers coming out of it. You have a very, very small chance of that fire spreading. So
Interesting.
it was a nice safety feature as well. And then when you want to snuff it out, you just put the lid back on. So you just slide the lid on, it takes away the oxygen, the fire goes out like so fast. And so you're not in a process of trying to waiting around for that fire to go out. So you put
So
the
it's
lid
what's
on.
extreme. So you're paying a little bit for convenience.
Yeah.
It was a great product. I use it. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
You are now and have been in the wax business for a while,
Yes.
right? And you kind of you saw something, got the idea, and did some tweak to it, is how that came. Where'd the idea come from, right?
Well, it was in the wax business, you have a lot of wax that is unused, or we would always call it like a recycled wax. So you would have projects and overages, and you would just have wax accumulating as like your scraps, so scrap
Right.
wax.
And you were a fairly big company, so you had a decent amount of
Yeah,
this,
we had
correct?
a lot of it. So especially over a couple of years. So we were using the scrap wax, so basically recycled wax to produce the product. The paper was egg cartons, which was recycled paper. So it was like everything about this was so, like green oriented. And so we
And
just thought,
how did you go, Brian, from I'm making candles and massage wax to I'm going to make something that I've never even heard about before? In fact, you got ripped off numerous times since, right? So how
yeah,
did you saw something, right? Or
yeah. Well, we were just so the thing is,
how do we turn it to a campfire
yeah,
thing is basically
it was kind
into
of just like playing around with it. The bigger the wick, the larger the frame. So when you had these in like a big bucket or a barrel that was metal, we were just kind of messing around and then lighting those things on fire as uh, young men, or I guess middle-aged men, do just for fun when it was
Interesting.
cold. And you're just like, well, this is kind of cool. This is like a dumpster fire, right? A trash can fire. And those things have been around forever, right? People talk
Hmm.
about that. So when we kept seeing this and thinking about it, and we had like a maybe a form factor that was just too big to be portable, I had those cookie tins. We used to give them away to our customers during Christmas, and I had one empty sitting on the desk. I'd have those things for customers, and then I'd open one up, and then a week would go by, and then it would just be sitting there empty on my desk, and I just kept looking at that, looking at
That's fascinating.
the bigger version of the Radiate, and then we just kind of.
So it's kind of like the chocolate peanut butter Reese's cup where the guy was walking down with an open jar of peanut butter and stumbled into someone with chocolate, right?
It's so much exactly like that, Danny.
Awesome. That's interesting. Okay, then you came, great name, great
Yeah.
packaging.
So we do
Your
a
price.
Kickstarter, and it did fine. And then the Shark Tank people saw the Kickstarter and they contacted us, and we
So
went.
the Shark Tank people saw you on Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, that's how they found us. Yeah.
And but you didn't going into Shark Tank, Brian, you didn't have production up, right? You're kind of like,
No, we were still in the Kickstarter phase. We hadn't made anything other than samples. So when we got that opportunity, we jumped on it. And then when it was explained to us after we had filmed that, if you don't air, we're not going to do any, this is not going to go anywhere. And so we just held off until we knew we were going to air. And they didn't give you a lot of heads up, but we had kind of everything lined up, ready to pull a trigger. And I think they let us know maybe like 35 days, 40 days before we were going to air. And so it was a huge rush to start production in the hopes
so
of.
you only had handmade samples
Yeah,
until that, right?
yeah.
And you were apprehensive about doing that because you weren't sure of the market beforehand. Is that right?
Right. We kind of thought that it was going to be just, a camping accessory, and we didn't know how big of a market what that was. And as it turns out, it really wasn't the camping market that resonated. It was the backyard person having,
Interesting.
s'mores with their kids or whatever in the backyard, ambiance in the backyard. It was really a home use product. That's what was different from when we had the idea. And we
Oh, that's
found that out through
interesting.
Shark Tank. We found that out from the audience, from the view, and that's what made the company accelerate. And then when COVID happened, that's when I mean, we did great from Shark Tank, but it wasn't until COVID where Amazon and our website just completely was crushing it with this product. Everybody was at home needing an outlet or something to do or something to have fun to
Mhm.
make their lives better, and we did great. And then during that process, maybe like 5 or 6 months into COVID, um, I think that's when we started to have suitors coming to look to buy it.
And then you had a couple offers, you took,
We had a
sold
couple
it.
offers, and we negotiated and got the best offer we could.
Yeah, got
And,
some money on that. But I
yeah,
mean, you turned that into $1 million company, Brian. That's pretty, you and just a couple guys, right?
yeah, me and two partners, and then we partnered with one of the sharks. We partnered with Robert Hirschbach. It was
And
it
when you
was
sold,
phenomenal.
you were very profitable, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
company that was the one really giant home run for really all of us, because I think that like when we were starting it, maybe we pulled $1,000 each or something like that, and then that got us started, and we already had the facilities to make it, and we were just
So let me jump in there, Brian. So because you're in the wax business, you had some expertise, which typically if you start a business, you that's usually how it goes, right? If
yeah,
someone's been a cook for 20 years, it's in a restaurant, I'm sure they have a higher success rate
yeah.
than someone who just said, "Oh, I can cook at home." So that makes sense. So you had that. So how much money did you guys would you guess out of pocket total did you put into that?
It was
Not count reinvested profits, but how much did you to get your first batch total overhead
it was
costs?
probably a couple thousand each. It was under 10 for sure.
So you turned under 10,000 into over $1 million.
Yeah.
And where was my cut on this?
I think I gave you a sample, didn't I?
I saw you gave me a few. I have one left. I'm holding.
All
It's
right,
like
yeah,
my
don't
Spider-Man
let it
3
go.
in
Yeah.
case it goes up in value. So hit it again. I can say, Brian, that I'll give you
It's
10.
been a long time since I've been a participant in that, because we sold it, in 2020. So we're now in 2025. It's
So in a couple years, you went from 10,000. So that's 100x, Brian,
yeah,
right? And it was profitable on top of that. You were making
yeah.
money.
We were making money during the time we had it for sure. Yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah,
Wow, nice little story there. You got your own 100x on that, Chief. Too bad you weren't public.
right.
So
Yeah.
what if it, so when you, when, so let's go to my,
I think we had the idea in 2017. We had all of everything ready to go in 2018, and then 2019, I think in January is when we aired or
so a
February.
huge part is a massive amount of free publicity,
Yeah,
right? But you won, right? You won that one. You won that Shark Tank. They got the offer, obviously, right?
yeah,
You heard
we
the
made it.
end of the
Like
episode.
we had a couple sharks bidding on it, and we chose Robert, who was fantastic. Because immediately, like the best thing he did, like right away, is he was going on The View and he needed a deal that he had made recently and he chose us, which was amazing. And so we got to go on The View with him, which introduced the product to a completely different audience than Shark Tank. And that was very
And
happy.
then you had one more repeat on Shark Tank where you went back to this festival, right?
Right. And so then we had an update. So that would have been, gosh, so we
No.
went on Shark Tank in 2018 and 2019. We did an update episode and that was really cool. Yeah.
So it worked out. I know you said Shark Tank, they were very professional, great experience, start to finish, right?
Not only that, I think the show is, I mean, it's still on now. It's
Mm.
still one of those places where you can find so much inspiration, see great stories,
Yeah.
and there's some theatrics to it, but these are real deals. These are real
Mhm.
products and real entrepreneurs, real stories. Nothing's fake on this. We were not coached or, I mean, it was just authentic.
It's good to hear that. Your whole experience talking was authentic. They were just, you put on a show, but it went through. They were nice. Dude Wipes does what, 20 million a year now. They were on that one. There's a
That's
lot of them
another
out
one,
there.
man. Squatty Pie. There's just some amazing companies that
Good
have
for
come out
them.
of that show, and that great for them.
Okay, Brian. So let's kind of compare the two because that one you started home run. Let's
Yeah,
go into that next time, I guess. Let's
yeah,
do that. But I want to curious of how I'm gonna do that with my business. We'll see going in that way. So
yeah.
that's it.
Just got a few
Let's
minutes
wrap it
left
up.
for this. Yeah. So Danny, and I'm sure some of the audience, all of the audience, is interested to hear this road that you're gonna hopefully tell us
Yeah.
each week on what happens with your company and how it builds up. And I'll be happy to share. I've got stuff now. I've got problems I want to talk to you about as well. And this avenue, this podcast might be a great way for us to discover how to be more successful and take our lessons and hopefully the people who listen to it will learn some lessons too, or they can always reach out. You can reach out to us at stockhypers@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments. Just want to say hi to Danny and tell him how fantastic his stock pick is for Robinhood and
Julie, I'll
investment.
let you know either way on that one. Cool. Sounds good. So a little bit of a U-turn there. Cool, Brian. All right, sounds good. So we'll see you guys in about a week.
And that is the pod.